This is K9WLW. This is the first of a series of Pi-Star videos that I wanted to share. Before I get into today's topic, I wanted to point out a very interesting website, and this is pertaining Pi-Star and Pi-Star hotspots. The website is called amateurradionotes.com. Amateur Radio Notes, all one word, no spaces.com. Very interesting website, written by somebody who goes by the name of, I believe, Toshin. His call sign is KE0FHS. Very interesting website, and he has a ton of very interesting information regarding hotspots and digital modes and so forth. And in particular, there's a link on top that says Pi-Star. If you click or tap on that, this goes in and tells you more than you probably would ever want to know unless you really want to know. But I mean, there's just a ton of information about how to configure your Pi-Star. I mean, he gets in through every detail, every step. He gets into cross-moding. I mean, every subject, how to configure it for each of the 5 digital modes. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I know it's a lot to read, but I really would encourage, if you really enjoy your Pi-Star, to get to know some of its capabilities and features and configuration tricks. I mean, it goes on, and it's very detailed, and it's filled with all kinds of links. I promise you, if you read a lot of this material, you'll learn more than you've ever known about your Raspberry Pi or Pi-Star based hotspot, I should say. I mean, he gets into every digital mode, how to configure them, and so on and so forth. And I have used this a lot from time to time as a guide to relearn some stuff I might have forgotten, learn maybe a few new things. Again, it's a slow process to really get to be comfortable with it, but there's a lot in it, and there was a lot of work put into its design. And being able to find a reference manual like this, I think, is pretty valuable. I mean, look how long this goes on and on and on. It's got screenshots, descriptions, links, various topics, how to download a Pi-Star image, everything. I mean, just endless list of stuff. I mean, it goes on and on. And even towards the bottom, he gets into, there's a bunch of quick links. You can quickly jump to configuration of specific modes. And at the very bottom, there's a link to Pi-Star cross modes. And I've read some of this, and I've experimented with it. And I'm actually going to end up, I think, doing 5 videos. And this will be the first of those videos. And this is going to pertain to Pi-Star cross modes. Well, this video, we'll call this video 1 of the series, is going to be configuring your Pi-Star hotspot for what is called DMR to YSF. And what that is how can you configure your Pi-Star for you to operate on the YSF network, the fusion networks, which involves both the FCS and YSF reflectors in the fusion world, but operating them from your DMR radio. So let's say you have just a DMR radio, and you've been having a good time and experimenting and going all over the place in the DMR world. And you're like, hey, I wonder what's going on in Fusion. I'd like to try that. Well, you can do that with your Pi-Star based hotspot. It has a cross-mode capability that they call DMR to YSF. And it's actually pretty cool. I've done quite a bit of practice with it and experimenting with it, and I thought I'd show you how to set your hotspot up to do that, and how you can use your DMR radio not only to cross mode on these reflectors, but how you can navigate the reflectors from the DMR radio. The DMR radio has talk groups that you can program or manually dial, depending on the type of radio, where you can actually direct the Pi Star with DMR talk group commands to go to different YSF reflectors. And I wanted to show you how easy it is to do once you set it up. So let's get started. Now, I wanted to show you, and this is something I'm going to encourage everyone to do that has a Raspberry Pi. I know we tend to use 1 or 2 or maybe 3 modes. I encourage you to get activity, or at least set up, I should say, your Pi Star on all 5 of the primary digital modes and learn how to configure it for all 5 of the primary digital modes. That would include DMR mode, D-Star mode, the YSF mode, the P25 mode, and the NXDN mode. And you might say, well, why would I want to do that? Well, you might want to be able to cross mode to these other modes, and you need to get those modes configured in order to complete that process. Now, let's say you just have a DMR radio. Okay, with a DMR radio, you have 2 cross modes available, and the first one we're going to talk about today is the cross mode to YSF. There's also another one, which will be in my next video, which is DMR to NXDN. But with the Fusion radio, you can cross mode to DMR, you can cross mode to NXDN, and you can also cross mode to P25. So if you have a DMR radio and a Fusion radio, you can go to NXDN and P25. And it would be kind of cool to be able to do that. Now, you don't have to do much with the P25 mode to configure. NXDN mode, you do want to get an NXDN ID. If you already have a DMR ID, you got that at radioid.net. Well, if you go back to the radioid.net website, you can also request an NXDN ID. That's all you need in order to get up and running on the NXDN network when you're cross-moding. If you're a Fusion user and you want to cross-mode to DMR, you want to get a DMR ID, you want to get a Brandmeister account if you want to use the Brandmeister network, which you can do, and I'll demonstrate how you can from your Fusion radio in a later video. Today we're going to focus on DMR to YSF, but you can see here that I've activated all 5 modes just to show you that they can all be done. And I don't have an NXDN radio, I don't have a P25 radio, doesn't mean I don't need to learn how to configure. Okay, and that's kind of how I feel about that. I figured, why not explore those worlds even though I don't have those radios? Now, if you've done everything correctly with your IDs, your Brandmeister passwords, etc., you should be able to show all 5 modes highlighted in green, indicating that the modes are all enabled, and on the network side that all 5 of the networks are up and running in green. If everything's configured right, you're going to have green, green, green everywhere, which is good. I can't tell you how many people in the Pi Star users group in Facebook are having issues where some of these modes come up in red in the network status, particularly the DMR net. That's usually a Brandmeister password issue, but I've seen a lot come up with the P25 net as well. But you can see here that all 5 of my digital modes are working on the hotspot. All 5 of the digital networks are connecting to the Pi Star in green, so everything is good to go. So that's just to show you that it can be done. All right, I'm going to go back to configuration, and for today's video, I'm going to shut off all the modes except DMR, because we're using a DMR radio. Yeah, it looks like my browser froze, so bear with me. Off, 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 off. All right, so I'm going to leave DMR as the only active mode, and in addition to that, I'm going to go down below and look for DMR to YSF. So I need to turn that switch on. This is for cross-moding. And it's cross-moding from the DMR radio to the YSF network. So once I have those 2 switches, DMR mode for my radio DMR to YSF for my cross mode, I hit the apply changes right below that and wait for it to update. And you have to be patient, of course, with the Pi Star for it to accept the changes, so I apologize for the holdup, but it's worth the wait. And this is the first step on getting ready to set up the cross mode from DMR to YSF. Still waiting for the update. All right, it's almost ready. Okay, we now have DMR to YSF and DMR. Now, further down the page, if you're a typical DMR user, you probably have a DMR master set up, and in my case, I'm usually on Brandmeister 3102 server. You don't want to use that server in this. You want to use a special server. And you want to go up to the list of servers, scroll all the way to the top of the list, way up at the top. And this is where you have a couple of your DMR cross mode options. There's the second one from the top is called DMR to YSF. That's the name of the DMR server you will be using for this cross mode. So I'm going to select DMR to YSF. I'm going to load it as my DMR master. And I'm going to hit apply changes. And again, there's more waiting. And unfortunately, I can't do all of this and then hit apply changes once. And you're going to see why in a moment here. So all these other modes are going to update. Okay, we're almost there. Patience, patience with Pi Star. There we go. All right, so I've got the DMR on, the DMR to YSF, and I set up the DMR master into DMR to YSF. And it also opens up something here called Yaesu system configuration. There's not a lot to set up there. I set the YSF startup host to none. That way, when it boots up, I'm not linked to any YSF reflector. I'm on standby because I use the radio to push me into whatever YSF reflector I want to go to. Okay. Normally, for YSF, you also want to have uppercase host files turned off unless you're using an FT70 radio, which we're not using here. I'm using an Anytone. And for fusion activity, this won't apply for today, but when you're using a fusion radio, you want to have the wires X pass-through turned on. Somehow that helps you do your wires X commands from the fusion radio without it keying up on the network. All right, so now I'm going to go to the admin page. And you'll see the DMR master. It says this DMR to YSF. And you're going to see YSF network not linked. Okay, so we're ready to roll. Now, another website I would recommend that you look at, and this is very helpful, is called pistar.uk. Left-hand side of this page, or of this website, is a list of various tools. I'm looking at YSF and FCS tools. So you want to click or tap on that, and it opens up two lists. It gives you a list of all the YSF reflectors and a list of all the FCS reflectors. You can click on them individually. I'll start with YSF. And you can see a really long, super long, in alphabetical order by name, list of all the active YSF reflectors that are in the Pi Star data files. And this is updated virtually daily by the Pi Star people. It lists them all in alphabetical order by the name, and then to the left is their 5-digit YSF reflector number. Now, Those numbers are very important. Those are the numbers that you're going to want to key up as a group call on your radio to go to that specific reflector. So I'm going to go to, let's look up a US America link. That's a very popular one on Fusion. It is, there it is, US America link. And its 5-digit number is 32592. And you can key it up in this configuration that we just set up on the hotspot by just doing a group call to 32592. So I am going to grab the DMR radio. I'm going to just manually dial group call 32592. And I'm going to do a quick push to talk and release. There's my transmission. I'm unkeyed. And look what happened here. Remember where it said not linked here a minute ago? Now it says I'm linked to USA America link. Okay, it's that simple. I can QSO on America's link simply by keying up 32592. So every...
Okay, very good.
There's some traffic there.
Steve. Yeah, hopefully I'm making it in.
So this is on the Fusion network.
Here, going into this repeater, it isn't really super close, so have a little bit more struggle. Anyway, so well, what kind of weather are you having this time of year?
That's how easy it is to cross mode. Now, if you want to unlink from a reflector, you may remember the group call 4000. So I'm going to do a manual dial, talk group, manual dial, group call 4000. Now I have to wait for a break in the activity in order to make the key.
So we're still staying fairly above normal, at least for now. In the next 10 days,
I'm going to load it in the radio here.
Normal is 66 degrees for daytime highs.
I'm going to wait for him to unkey. There's my...
Good.
Oops, I wasn't quick enough.
A little on the cooler side here. We've been in the 60s, kind of the higher 60s. So it's just like almost perfect weather. You don't need a jacket. You can just be comfortable, kind of, or maybe a light sweater or something, yeah, this is like the time of the year. I really love it like this.
And you can see the group call 32592 in the lower left-hand corner on this radio.
And you're stuck in the house, and it gets dark so early every day, and that starts to get boring after a while, and especially after all this COVID stuff. I think it's going to be nuts. This year is going to feel very, very nice.
All right, I guess he's getting a little long-winded.
We could be lucky like Steve and be going to Myrtle Beach. Jeez.
I'm going to pause this. There we go. He did unkey. So now I do an unlink. Take a look here. YSF network, not linked. So now I'm on standby again. So sorry it took so long. He just was talking and talking. But that's how you unlink from a YSF reflector. Just do a group call 4000, just like you do on DMR, to bring down a dynamic talk group. So I'm not linked. Now, I wanted to show you, and again, you can do that with any of these 5-digit group calls to any of these YSF reflectors. You can pick any ones you want. Now I'm going to go back up to the top, and I'm going to go over to FCS reflectors, because those are the other reflectors in the Fusion world. And those are listed in a separate group over here under FCS reflector lists. And those are more of a numerical thing. They're not in an alphabetical order. They're grouped in 100 modules. There's FCS 001, 002, and so forth. But they're all in numerical order. And their names are all to the right here. Now, over about 2 or 3 columns to the right, you're going to see a column that says DMR to YSF talk group. So it shows you what talk group number you want to key in order to activate that reflector. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go to FCS 00235, which is an Ohio FCS reflector. And to do so, I have to group call 100235. 100235. So I'm going to group call 100235. And now do a quick push to talk and release. There we go. And you can see it's now connected to FCS Reflector 00235. It's that easy. So again, the Pi-Star UK website has all the information on what group call you make from the radio in order to activate the talk group, and you just keep keying up that talk group to QSO. And again, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds you can access, all from your DMR radio in both YSF and FCS. And when you want to unlink, group call 4000, push to talk release, and there you go. I'm no longer linked. I'm on standby. That's really all there is to it. Again, not hard to set up. You don't have to get any ID. If you already have DMR ID and you're using a DMR radio, it's an easy transition over to Fusion World. Again, if it's the YSF reflectors, just look up the 5-digit code, group call that code, you're in. FCS reflectors begins with 100, and then you have the digits after that, but the Pi-Star UK website has all the information you need. You can write them down, you can store them as talk groups in the radio, however you want to do that. But you can clearly access the entire YSF reflector list and the FCS reflector list from your DMR radio with your Pi-Star. Well, that will do it for this video. I think I've covered the whole concept of it. It's pretty easy if you think about it, as long as you know where to look for the information. And you clearly saw it worked rather smoothly. And the admin page is your guide in the lower left-hand corner to show you when you successfully linked to something or not, and when you successfully unlinked. So that really covers it as far as I can tell. If you have any comments or questions, please comment below. Or if you wish to email me, my email address is cq2meters@yahoo.com. CQ followed by the number 2 meters, METERS, @yahoo.com. That's it for today's video. My next video after this, I'm going to demonstrate how to do DMR radio to NXDN network. It's also pretty easy. I think you might find that interesting. Anyway, 73s for now from K9WLW.